Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the best games of 2025. Myself and Josh Brown doing a completely subjective ranking of the games that blew us away the most across the year. We did 10 through 6 in the other video. This will be our particulars number 5 to number 1, and we will see what each of our respective games of the year are. It better be Clair Obscur, mate. What are you doing?
It's already been, brother.
Oh, it has, hasn't it? But let's get stuck in. Do you want to start with your number 5?
Let's go. Number 5.
We should run down. We're professionals. We should run down 10 through 6.
Come on, then.
So far, my 10 through 6 is Pokemon ZA, Shinobi Art of Vengeance, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Silent Hill F, and Mafia the Old Country.
My 10 through 6 is number 10, 1000 Times Resist. Number 9, Atomfall. Number 8, Chronos the New Dawn. Number 7, Arc Raiders. And number 6, Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
I'm pointing at the camera. I'm shaking the head.
You know what? It's a game that I love. We cannot keep talking about this.
No,
it's a game that I love. I share your love of it. It's not like Final Fantasy where I'm like, get that in the bin.
Ooh, you didn't say that when I said Final Fantasy 16 is one of the best games of the generation.
Well,
Comes at me, he does. Number 5, Mr. Good Sir.
My number 5 is Hollow Knight Silksong.
Very nice.
A game that I didn't even expect to be playing this year, all things considered.
Didn't make my list at all.
I didn't think
not
it would.
Honorable mentions, not even on the radar.
Didn't think it would based on your experience with it. Hollow Knight Silksong was essentially everything that I wanted it to be after such an extended wait between the first game and this game, considering this was originally DLC and then it expanded into something bigger. Expectations were so high around it. Like there was a fever, almost cult-like following to this game because it went silent for so long and then it just essentially shadow dropped towards the end of this year, and it is fantastic. It builds on the first game mechanically. It is very difficult, but it also adds a few quality of life elements that I really appreciated, like just in terms of how responsive it is, how less demanding certain areas are, but more demanding other areas are. Like you said, the platforming, that's just fun now. It was always challenging and satisfying, but now it's genuinely fun and acrobatic, and I feel like it's really great to use. I love the bosses in this thing. I love the level design. I love the lore implications of it. I love that it has that kind of element of surprise where you might get warped to a level that you didn't even know was in the game to fight an optional boss that turns out to be your favorite boss in the entire thing. Like it just has that complexity that Hollow Knight 1 had and then some. It very much is more of the same in the best possible way. It's an evolution, not a revolution of the formula, but I just thoroughly could not recommend it more. Like considering, again, going back to the expectations, incredibly high, managed to match them and then delivered what is my 5th favorite game of the year.
As we're recording this, the Video Game Awards haven't happened yet, but it feels like the top 2 for the end of the year are between Clair Obscur and Hollow Knight. Like just in terms of completely proficient, super well-tuned, engineered video games. It was only the checkpoint stuff that got the best better of me, where I was like, I do not have the stomach to run all the way back to this boss and then get flattened again. But I did really enjoy. I enjoyed most of my time with it. When things are going well in Hollow Knight, it's the best feeling in the world. And I do love the traversal, the platforming, the different traversal abilities that you get. I do think that you can get in a real good groove with it. Same in Hollow Knight 1, but I thought Silksong had a real good pace to it, thundering through those environments and just mopping up the different currencies and unlocking all the different parts of your abilities as you go. But yeah, like it is such a proficient, you can't really find a flaw with it because it's clearly so intentional in terms of how unforgiving it is in regards to the boss fights or certain, some of the platforming gauntlets in the true ending are psychotic, which I didn't get that far. I just watched footage and I was like, I'm glad I didn't bother because that would have killed me off. Did you get the true ending in the end?
No, right. You know, it's stupid because I got so far. I got into Act 3. I did a good few bosses there. I probably have like 1 or 2 bosses left to go in the game. And then I did so much of it and then got distracted by something else. It's one of those mental things where I just think to go back to it, to get back in that headspace, I know it's going to be really hard. You need to be because everything, like I say, everything builds on it. Stuff becomes muscle memory. And when I was out of that flow, I just kind of thought, I wish I'd almost just stuck with the game until it was finished, got the proper ending, rather than move on and try to go back, because I feel like a baby trying to play it now if I jump back in. But those platform and gauntlets, I love them, man. I love them.
Oh, dude, me too. It's getting back to them. Like if it would just let me go from the beginning again of just that particular hard area, that would save almost any hard 2D game for me. Like give me the Celeste approach where you're just restarting me on the screen that I'm on. Because some of those sequences that you have to do towards the end where it's like jump, double jump, air dash, use the momentum to come back around, land on the right side of a platform so you don't instantly die or whatever, do it all in one go. Like it is unforgiving.
It
like,
is.
in a really, really uniquely brutal way. Like even FromSoft have started giving people like helping hands in Elden Ring. But like, here's the Ash summons. You can get through it. Whatever. Team Cherry were like, we'll bend to our will, and that's it.
I think it works because it's not just difficulty for difficulty's sake, in my opinion. I do think all of the abilities that you get, like they just flow into each other really well, and it makes for genuinely good platforming design, in my opinion. It's tough. Yeah, it requires you to master a lot of different skills, a lot of different powers and abilities. But when you're chaining them all together, and when you get that run just right, it looks spectacular. It feels spectacular, and that's why I think it worked for me a little bit more, because the fundamental core of moving in Silksong just feels good. Like it feels
definitely
good to indulge in. And the way those platforming segments ramp up, I do think feels natural as well. Like by the time you get to the true ending, or in that final act, you've gotten confident. You're probably smashing out platforming sections of your backtracking that took you ages the first time through, and now you're combining this with that and kind of finding your own way through those sections, because there is an element of free-form exploration as well. So that it does ask a lot from the player. I'm not going to deny it. And yes, I do think some things like the checkpoint runbacks, you could argue that they are a little bit too long. It annoyed me a few times, absolutely. I do think other things that people complained about, like the rosary system, for instance, that is the currency that you use in-game, and it's very scarce. But I do think, while it's frustrating, I do think that's intentionally frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally fair to not like that. But the rosary thing, for instance, does have narrative implications and level design implications that I can't really appreciate, even if it did mean that I couldn't unlock a checkpoint bench when I really needed to unlock a checkpoint bench.
One of the checkpoint benches comes with some spikes just descending out the roof and killing you when you try and save, which I managed to dodge, but I've seen a lot of people die to that thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is...
A lot of traps in the game. I will say, one final thing. One genuine plus it has over Hollow Knight, I think, is that the knight in the original game was a fun enough character, but Hornet in the
really
sequel,
cool.
like to have her like be fully voiced, have a proper personality, it just comes through a little bit more. Like I found myself like quite attached to that character and her story, and the personality and the writing style is just, it has that kind of like sense of wit to it that is, it's not like necessarily breaking the fourth wall. It's not even necessarily that self-aware, but it's dry and it's very like kind of cold in a lot of ways, but it works.
It's not far off Atsu and Ghost of Yōtei.
In
terms of like just like a badass character. I love the way that Hornet stands, like the way that she kind of holds herself with different weapons. Like, I really enjoyed playing as her way more than the dude in the original Knight in Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
My number 5 is a game that I've not mentioned in a good few months, but I blitzed this thing in like 2 sittings. Shotgun Cop Man. It's the game from the My Friend Pedro developers. They're called Dead Toast Entertainment, and I adored My Friend Pedro. I thought that thing was incredible. Really fun, side-on action shooter, elements of platforming, but mainly just lots of slow motion shooting and stunt work, flying down zip lines, backflipping, twin Uzis, that kind of thing. Very much a Scott Tailford game.
Yeah,
I love that kind of thing. Shotgun Cop Man. It takes some of the similar tenets in terms of like the satisfying nature of just running through these environments, popping off all these different hits. The mechanic here, though, is as long as you keep firing, you will stay in the sky. So you're also using that for trajectory. There's there's reverse propulsion. If you shoot forward, you blast backwards with your shotgun. You can shoot your pistol normally, but you can also use your shotgun to get around. And then over time, you get all these different weapons, like I said, machine guns. You get flamethrowers, and it's just the level design is really inventive. Like every sort of handful of levels, you get a new mechanic that you have to deal with. So you are solving, kind of like My Friend Pedro, you're solving certain environmental puzzles alongside juggling, like how am I going to get through these environments while taking out all these different enemies. The music absolutely slaps. I feel like I mentioned that for nearly all the games that I enjoy tend to have good, fun, thumping soundtracks. But it's just it's such a proficient game. Like it doesn't look like much in the screenshots because it's very stripped back. Like it's a lot like if you played N Plus on Xbox 360 Arcade. It's a bit like that, where N Plus was about like a stick figure ninja, and you were literally dodging like pixel precise missiles and lasers and things like that. It's a lot like that, where it's very, very precise, but super, super satisfying. And there's the feel of gunplay is the thing that really carries it, where I just couldn't, every time you get like a minigun or a machine gun, you just let loose and everyone's body parts are flying. It's like, it's fun gore. And it's fun pixel gore. And so, super simple, understated game, but, and I feel like it'll get buried. It already has been buried in a lot of the end of the year conversations. But I pretty much did the whole thing in 2 sittings. It's just a perfect game.
You know what? I'm surprised and not. I completely forgot about this, even though you mentioned it and it did sound really good. And I saw some of the footage that you posted and I was like, I can get behind this rhythm. I'm quite shocked to see that you put it above the likes of Mafia and maybe even Silent Hill, because I know how much you enjoyed those games. But hell yeah, man.
King, baby.
You need to shout this out, because this is a Tailfordian game through and through, like you said.
Like, when we start talking about end of year stuff in a totally subjective way, then Silent Hill F, like I said, I didn't like that you had to replay that 2 more times to get the full story.
Yeah.
Mafia the Old Country, the tropes of it, they commit to them, but they're still tropes, and I didn't love the way that it ended. But the vast majority of it was solid, so they're still in there. Shotgun Cop Man is like a find a flaw game. Like, it's find me a flaw. There's even a bonus My Friend Pedro level, which just introduces a ton of slow motion, so you can enjoy the animation, the propulsion, and in like slow motion with your dude. The Cop Man just like pirouetting through the air in slow mo with his twin pistols or his twin Uzis. That's really fun, and it's also quite funny. Like, literally, it's almost like a Judge Dredd spin-off. Like, you're this like super. You have like one line, like you're chasing Satan, and you just have one line. It's like, I'm here to arrest you. Satan tells you to F off, disappears. You go through a level, you find him again. I'm going to arrest you. F you, Shotgun Cop Man. More levels ensue, and eventually it ends.
I'm going to do the bit, but again, like, so many great, like, straightforward action games recently that harken back to, like, the arcade action. I'm thinking, like, everything you mentioned there, obviously, you mentioned stuff like El Paso Elsewhere and My Friend Pedro, Pedro.
My Friend Pedro.
I'm thinking getting two completely different
you
things.
You might be thinking of I Am Your Beast, which was the other one from Strange Scaffold.
I wasn't. No, I was going to say, I mentioned Neon White, and I was going to say something else that is completely gone from the top of my head. Fair. But, you know, like those kind of like, just, we're here for the mechanics, like you said, we're here for the gameplay. We're going to give you a bloody great time in the 10 or 12 hours it takes to get through it. There's such a, I don't know, it feels like we're in a real golden era for those kinds of experiences. And I think part of it did stem from, I know it's a slightly different perspective, a slightly different genre, but like the success of Hotline Miami. Everyone was like, wow, that immediacy, let's try and get back to that. And we've had so many great arcade action games since.
Oh, dude, there's absolutely like chunks of Hotline DNA in this. Like, if you die, it doesn't do an instant kill. You lose like your soul, and you have to try and get back to it. If you get shot again while you're trying to get your soul back, then you'll die, like your ghost or whatever. But you can always come back at least once, which I massively appreciate for how tight a lot of the sequences are. But yeah, that was my number 5.
I just want to add, I've been playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black recently just to see the year out. Great remake, by the way.
Yes.
An inspired decision. I know it's not the first one, but to just overlay Unreal Engine 5 modern day graphics with the original like engine and the base of it running unchanged more or less underneath.
It's going to become a trend because that's what the Halo remake's doing.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a really cool way to do a remake without losing what made the original special.
Like the feel of it,
like a cool third way on top of what we already have. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is, even though I love Souls games, I've already shouted out one on this list so far in the honorable mentions. Like, I love Souls games. I love that methodical approach to combat. But action games are good, man, aren't they? Like, just being able to go into a room and just tear people. Hey, Ninja Gaiden 2 has always been one of my favorite games, to be fair. So I am playing literally one of my favorites and then thinking about, like, assuming they all play like that for me, which I know they don't. But, like, to be in a game and to just have the challenge, but to be able to do all of this acrobatic stuff, have the speed of Ninja Gaiden 4 is crazy fast, And I have a lot of issues with that game, but it's just so quick, it's so immediate, and it's like, I want to chop a guy's head off, and I want to see a geyser of blood spurred from it, and then I want to be moved on to the third or fourth head by the time I even see that blood pop off.
By the time that head comes back down, there are 4 more heads joining it in midair.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. It's no, man, I'm back. That like spectacle fighters. I feel like we're rounding the bend into a whole bunch more of them coming in. I think inspired by the likes of Stellar Blade, even though there's a bit of Soulsian DNA in there. But Tides of Annihilation, Lost Soul Aside, there are many spectacle fighters coming back around. That was my number 5.
My number 4 is, and like your most recent pick, I think this is a game that's not going to be on many people's top 10 lists.
Ooh.
And I know all people are going to say, why the hell is this above Silksong and Clair Obscur? So let me explain. My number 4 is Lost Records, Bloom in the Rage. And there was something about this game that just clicked with me on a personal level, man. Like, we're going to talk about Clair Obscur and its story and no doubt what it means to you later on. And I can only say that what you got from Clair Obscur, I kind of got from Lost Records.
That's
like,
good.
It's exactly what I wanted because it's by the same people. Life is Strange to me back in the day, where I tried Life is Strange because I wanted to get involved in that kind of coming of age story, the teen drama, and like the actual personalities in the personal drama. Like, that kind of got lost to the supernatural stuff for me a little bit with Life is Strange.
Oh, yeah.
And
definitely.
even though there is a supernatural element in Lost Records, it's all about like this core friendship between these 4 or 5 like girls over this one summer. and just like that interpersonal drama, that kind of coming of age story. I think the writing is so sharp. A lot of games and a lot of media generally does one teenage writing wrong, and it's cringe and it's bad, and it sounds like a 50-year-old is trying to write like authentic dialogue, and it never works. And two, this is set in the 90s, but like that kind of period 80s 90s coming of age story has been done to death. It's put me off games before. I tried to jump into Open Roads the other year and just was put off by that kind of the genre conventions that I feel are a little bit overdone. And it's not like Lost Records is doing everything entirely new, but there's a sincerity that comes through, I think, in this one that just makes it that bit special. I think the story and ultimately where it goes was very satisfying for me. If you don't know, it's got like this kind of like split. Again, weirdly enough, I've had a lot of games on this list that have both a gameplay section set in the present than a gameplay section like set in the past, like this idea of going through memories and going through time. I'm just noticing that as we record this, that's a recurring motif. But in Lost Records, the game starts as you play as like a 30-year-old called Swan, and she's going to meet her friends for the first time since she was a kid, and this weird thing happened to them over the summer, and they get together in a bar, and they try to remember this summer that they've forgotten, and they're trying to figure out why they forgot, why they've never met up, stuff like that. And then you kind of flash back and you play through from a third-person perspective what that summer was, and you do kind of like dialogue choices, and you can branch the story in different ways and like puzzle solving and whatnot. And
the music's also very nice.
It all comes together to create this like really distinct sense of place and time with some incredibly well-drawn characters, some immense performances. Like, again, I know I've said this a lot because they're my favorite games of the year. Some of the best performances from the year are from the main characters. Just really convincing, really authentic, and ultimately I found like really, really moving towards the end and quite profound in many ways, Scott, with some lush cinematography, some lush music. I think it's a bloody great game, and as a Life is Strange hater, I'm surprised as you that I'm saying that.
Can I shock you, in the words of Alan Porridge?
Can I shock you?
It's a very good year for the genres. Because not only have we got, I mean, I'm going to get into something else that might fit in a very similar genre, but the telltale genre, I feel like has been left to the wayside for a little while. We haven't really talked about it too much, and then 2025 gave us a handful of these experiences that are done so well. Like Lost Records, obviously made by, I think it's Don't Nod.
Don't Nod, yeah.
And building on everything that they learned with Life is Strange. I think they also did Tell Me Why.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it feels like they were always like the second rung down from Telltale, even though the quality has always been there. And yeah, like I didn't go all the way through Lost Records, but the overall presentation of it was awesome. Like the playground scenes, like the idea of like following a friendship group as they get together and meet each other. Like you said, it's done in a very authentic way when it's very easy to get it wrong.
Absolutely.
And you found the story, the mystery element, like if you were playing it for the mystery, is it worth it for that, or is it more like the overall social banter?
It's the social stuff. It's like if you're playing it for the overall mystery, there are answers, there are like spectacular scenes that happen towards the end, but I don't think it should necessarily be the driving force. Like if you play it and you don't like the characters and you want to know what happens with the mystery, it's probably not worth it because the character drama is such a big part of it. But I do like that overall mystery, and they kind of tease a second game or a second season or whatever. Cool. I don't want that. I'm totally fine with it. I don't need more lore in the game. You know what I mean? And we were talking about Stranger Things before we started recording, and I'm like, that there's people love Stranger Things. I understand people want to know more about the mystery and Vecna.
I don't think they do anymore.
Upside down, but I'm like, that kind of like dense stuff puts me off because I'm there first and foremost for the characters. It's just what I gravitate towards, and in Lost Records has the focus there. I want to say it has this great mechanic that again I gravitate towards so much. You get this camcorder that you can use at any point as you play the game, and a few times you have to do like mandatory scenes where you capture some footage from this summer, and then the character in universe will like string it together to form like a little montage movie. But you can just do that for whatever you want. Like you get like a bunch of optional prompts, so you can end up coming away with all of this custom footage that you shot, that you've directed. You can frame it up, you can zoom in if you want, you can capture very specific parts, you can discard stuff, you can edit new things in. And it's just like, it personalizes that summer. The characters do not like we'll get slightly different variations of the characters, I suppose, if you enter a relationship with one and I don't or whatever. But that element of filming the summer and having like those memories, it makes me feel like I lived that summer now.
Yeah, that's a really
you know
good
what I mean?
touch.
It's like it's just a great element of personalization that encourages like more intimacy with the setting and the story. So a real gem of a mechanic, I think.
I also think, I don't know the name of the actress, but Swan as a character is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like she should be highlighted in terms of like the best performances, most human performances of the year. But yeah, man, that's a great pick. That's actually a perfect segue as well, because my number 4 is Dispatch.
Thought it might
which
be,
is like the king of this year anyway, the king of like the Telltale, the extension of what Telltale once represented to the industry, made by Ad Hoc Studios themselves, made up of various Telltale staffers that were around during the boom period of Telltale, when The Walking Dead season 1 especially was absolutely everywhere, and then Telltale sadly had diminishing returns in terms of the franchises that they would try and do installments in after that. But Dispatch is nigh on perfect. I didn't love the very end of the last episode, but we're being so hyper. I'm being so hyper specific, and I'll not do spoilers, but we're talking about literal lines of dialogue, certain tone switches where I was like, sure, and it kind of made me go like, man, I didn't think you nailed that as well as you could have done, considering how utterly exemplary the rest of it is, which is the only thing that knocks it down like a handful of spots here. It's still my number 4, and I would still recommend it in a heartbeat. And I'm trying not to mention music around everything.
But it's such an integral part of it, right?
And it's like there's a song called Radio by an artist called Bershi, and she got out there and said that like they were going to give up on music. Like they tried a handful of singles across the last 4 years, and none of them had taken off. They were just about to give up in the music industry. And then Dispatch has that song underpinning a house party scene, and they suddenly had 5 million streams of the song in like 3 weeks.
Nice.
And it's just one of those things where the kids have overused the word aura, but there's a vibe, there's an aura, there's an energy to Dispatch. There's a real fun nature to hanging with this group of supervillains, and going out on these, organizing these dispatch calls for them, telling them which crimes to go to. It's all handled through a UI. Like you're literally playing as the dispatcher. You have this like visualization of LA, and you'll just send different crimes pop up, and you assign different heroes, and you figure out their synergies, who they work best with, and you power them up, you give them different attributes over time. Like you might want someone to focus on intelligence or charisma or whatever it is, which will then benefit different crimes that pop up. So that's the only real gameplay part other than picking different dialogue options in the cutscenes. But it is the writing, the voice acting, the music, and the overall presentation, like this cel-shaded, gorgeous-looking presentation for the story, which it initially was meant to be a TV series. I think initially it was going to be a Netflix show.
What was it?
I forget. I was reading about the making of, it was a few months ago now, but initially it was going to be a TV show, and then it went under for a bit, and then they resurrected it as a game. That's why the game isn't rendered in real time. It is just cutscenes, and you're picking the dialogue options. The actual gameplay part is the dispatching. But I don't think it hurts it whatsoever. It's not like there's a resolution drop or anything like that. There's no artifacting in the cutscene parts. And it does just let you indulge in the performances. Laura Bailey's incredible as Invisigal. I love Aaron Paul as a lead in a game. Like him as Robert is awesome. Like the decisions that you make feel really impactful, and the whole thing feels very mature.
Yeah.
In the best way possible. Like I think I mentioned this when I talked about Dispatch on a previous pod, but I like that it is a game that is written for adults, by adults, for adults. It's not trying to do millennial Marvel, Disney, sanitized humor. It is quite funny. It is disgusting in places, like whatever. And I just feel like it has a mature core to it. And I really love the story. And they've said they weren't planning on doing an additional season. And again, this is going to go out after the Video Game Awards, but one of the biggest rumors for the Game Awards is that they'll be announcing season 2. Because it's sold so much in such a short period of time. It made back. They had a projection for 3 years worth of revenue, and it made it back in 3 weeks, which is awesome. Like I love seeing success stories like this. And so it's as a narrative-driven, character-driven game, I could not get enough of it. I think the very first episode kind of belies the true value of it, which is in the meeting the rest of the gang and the interpersonal relationships, which you can customize. You can let go one of the members, you can keep someone else. It does change bits and pieces of it. But yeah, it's that feeling of like, I just want to hang with these guys. I just want to be doing more dispatching. Like there's a reason that the most requested part of the game is just more dispatch missions.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just let me organize more of this stuff, because it feels so good to be on those calls, because everyone's in the group chat as they're responding. They're talking about getting hammered after the shift or whatever it is. It's such personable performances. Like adored my time with Dispatch. It's the very, very end that I wasn't massive on, but even then bits of it change based on choices that you make anyway.
I've missed a lot of good games this year, but this is the one that I'm feeling the biggest FOMO from recently, because
don't watch Stranger Things. Watch Dispatch.
Oh, I'm not going to watch. Wait, I'll watch. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Too many TV shows in the world, Scott. That's the issue. There's too many games
Line
in
of
the
Duty's
world.
coming back, mate. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay. Eat my whole, my friend, with Line of Duty. Get off. Are you my mum? Are you my mum recommending
Yes,
me
I am.
Line of Duty for the 10th time.
Who's
mother.
H.A.? Buckles. Good.
I can't remember what I was going to say. I don't know what I was going to say.
You said you missed some great games this year, Dispatch. You're going to get to the
Oh,
F
yeah,
on.
just like genuine FOMO from that. Everyone seemed to be playing it other than myself as I was trying to get through a few other things like 1,000 Times Resist for this podcast. But it became like a sort of phenomenon, right? Like, everyone, and like people who don't really play games that much seem to be talking about it. Just the quality of the story, the characters. I really feel like I've missed out. Like our Sai White, like she jumped in again, being like, "Well, what's all the fuss about?" And was like, I can see what the fuss is about now. Yeah, it's smashing out in 2 sittings. Okay.
Yeah, it's worth saying that the way that they rolled it out, because they already had all the animation done before the game had even released. So they just did 2 episodes a week for like a solid month, which I think was a really good way of stimulating all those conversations.
Yeah.
And just making sure that everyone was talking about it, and you didn't have to wait long for the next plot point to pick up. And they were doing teaser trailers in between the weeks, being like, next time on Dispatch, this thing. It was just so well handled, so well handled. But yes, that was my number 4.
My number 3 is...
Wait a minute, what was your number 4?
My number 4 was Lost Records.
I knew that. What's your number 3?
You knew that. Number 3, Ghost of Yōtei.
Oh, same.
Is it?
Yeah.
We've synced up quite nicely. We never do this.
No.
Even if it's thematically, if it's the same game, we've done well. All right, I'll take it away on Ghost of Yōtei. I, once again, underestimated Sucker Punch with Ghost of Yōtei. As with Ghost of Tsushima, which I thought looked like an Assassin's Creed knockoff until the very moment I played it, then was blown away. I not worried, but I knew I was going to like Ghost of Yōtei, but I wasn't sure if I was going to love it, because again, I thought it was looked a little bit more of the same.
Yes.
And it's very iterative. But the things that it really expands on are what make it special, in my opinion. Like, the great parts of Tsushima didn't need fleshing out all that much, and what I mean by that is the combat, is the stealth, is even like the characters and writing. Like, they were all 5 out of 5 for me.
Same.
With Tsushima. It was more the world and the sandbox and the way that it presented itself and the way that it gamified a lot of things that kind of made the first feel a little bit more repetitive than maybe it should have towards the end. Immediately, Ghost of Yōtei solves that problem for me. The world here is so reactive. It's so immersive. It's so player-driven with, like, how, again, similar to Atomfall from earlier in the pod, like, the way that you unveil plot points, the way that you unveil missions is by talking to people, it's by stumbling onto things, it's by like gathering clues almost, it's by following your nose. And there are a few things that get pointed out every time you jump to a new area of the map, like where the new master is to give you a new weapon, or like the main mission and stuff. A lot of it is just free-form exploration, and the original Ghost of Tsushima had such a vibrant, well-crafted world. And then this one has an even better one, in my opinion, because all of the different biomes are so dense with things to do, are so gorgeous to look at, are so expressive in many ways. There's an area early on where you go to fight this person called the Oni, and the level design and the architecture and just like the way the geography is framed, it kind of looks like Shadow of the Erdtree or something. It doesn't.
It's
look
a bit Silksian.
It's a bit Silksian. It's a bit exaggerated, but I like that. It just works to create these really expressive, these really memorable locations that you're playing through. And it was such a joy. It was one of those titles that every time I was playing it, I was slowing down. Like, I was making sure I was savoring every moment because I didn't want it to end. I didn't want to go too fast. I was walking into encampments. I was playing my little shamisen. Setting the vibe, changing my attire and my outfit depending on the situation. Like, I was really getting into the world of it in a way that almost no other game like got me that immersed this year. We have to mention the music as well. The music's excellent.
It is.
It has this, again, it uses the shamisen to like...
Shamisen.
I thought I got it right the first time, the shamisen. What?
Shamisen.
Shamisen.
There you go.
I'm sure I said that.
You didn't say it.
I reckon I said that. You're using that instrument.
Yes.
To create like a specific mood. It's almost Last of Us-esque with the plucking of the strings.
I love that when you push forward on the analog stick, Atsu doesn't run with it. She's like, no, I'm gonna take my time.
Exactly.
Play this thing. And then you unlock different songs that do different things, like Summon the Wolf or whatever. It's so cool.
Yeah, speaking of the wolf, like the additions to gameplay, the ability for that wolf to join you to do takedowns or help you out, the improvisation of being able to pick up an item off the ground and just launch it at someone, whether that's a spear, whether it's a katana.
With auto-tracking perfect accuracy.
Perfect.
So good.
The animations in the takedowns are great, in my opinion, and really feed into the narrative of Atsu being this, like, more ragged compared to Jin, like, bloodthirsty, like, menace, like not trained in the ways of honor, just like trying to get the job done.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling around in the muck with everyone. It just, man, it has that viscerality to it. And while I think the story isn't as good as Tsushima, I think Atsu's a better character than Jin, but I think the story that she's in is nowhere near as good as Jin's in terms of the thematics of it and like where that ultimately ends up.
Yeah.
But that knock against it is kind of balanced because I think the wider world is just so interesting to explore for me. I love the different factions, and it's just so well drawn. What a sequel! I'm going to go back and I want to play it again, Scott.
Okay. Well, they've added a new game plus and a whole bunch. That's the thing. Just the other day when we're recording this, they've added a new game plus and they've added a whole bunch of other render modes. So I finally started playing it with ray tracing on because they've added a balanced ray tracing mode. And luckily, I've got a fancy LG TV that can unlock the frame rate, the VR, the variable refresh rate stuff. Anyway, Yōtei itself, I had such a weird rocky relationship with, where at the very beginning I thought it was a bit naff, and then I thought that the story, because I just wanted a bit more to it. Like going into it before it came out, I was like, it feels like the most arbitrary revenge tale ever. And whenever it is being that, I think that for me the bottom falls out of it, where I'm like, oh my god, like, because then you notice all the content. It doesn't flow. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go mop up the wolf pack, because it's the exact same thing every time. Like the wolf walks out to you, and then you follow it, and you kill some dudes and whatever, and you go to the altars and you bow with them, and you get your points, and you go meet the different master in each of the biomes. And I always like when a game is a game. Like I like when a video game is not afraid to be a video game, not trying to pretend that it's a movie or whatever it is necessarily, if it's to a fault. But I think for me, like the rocky relationship was specifically bottoming out during the Oni section, whereas where the environment was really fun. I love exploring when it feels like I have the agency, but I also need that underpinning of drive, where it's not just like, okay, I'm doing all of this. Why? To power up? Why? To take down a dude who doesn't mean anything to me other than he wronged me. Okay, I need to do that. I want a bit more. And I found the Oni section, in terms of the main missions, to be really, really bad. And because they do what is a terrible, I would say, script writing, like storytelling trope 5 times in the game, where you get up to the dude you're going to kill, and then something happens. There's an invading army, or the ground falls away from below you, or there's one bit where they give up even rationalizing it right towards the end. One of the last two...
There's a guy in a boat.
Literally. Like, you're on the tower, you're fighting him, and then you're going to fight him, and then the guy like sort of jumps off the side, and it just cuts, and the boat's leaving over there.
In that moment, I'm sorry to derail you. In that moment, I was convinced Atsu was like jumping into the water, was chasing after the boat. Probably wouldn't have made sense from a terms of what the human body can do, but I was like, right, we're ramping up. I'm getting on that boat. We're going to take the fight to there. And then she's like, he's gone.
the main story, the Kitsune chapter, specifically, I would recommend people don't do the Oni. I know you didn't. You didn't do the Oni first. You did the Kitsune first?
No.
Oni first.
Yeah, I did the Oni first.
What was the thing you and Nicholas changed? You were saying that you were going to do something and then you didn't.
It's hard to say without spoilers.
Okay, that's
right?
fine.
Yeah.
But my thing would be do the Kitsune level first, because the weapon that you get and the unlocks that you get ability-wise, like the ability to hold the right stick and sense where certain enemies are, is like really helpful. And then like you get the Kasaragama, like the blade on the chain, like that's really helpful as well, to take on like multiple dudes. And so I think the abilities that you get like in those areas, like the kunai as well, being able to quick throw the kunai, like that's really helpful. Like once I did the Kitsune section, the abilities I came away from that section with massively enhanced everything else. And then I was like, and also the story propulsion you get from the Kitsune area, I think is awesome. I love like the family story stuff you get in the Oni chapter, but the Oni himself, I think the fact that they do that trope twice to the same character sucks. And then they do it like again and again, and it really just made me go, oh my god, like you're building this propulsion, this pace, and this like power to the storytelling, and then you just go like, we need to elongate it, so they get away again. And it's like, okay, like you were doing a Revenge Tale 101 more than ever.
Well, explain to me now then. Why is it your third favorite game of the
Because it plays so good. It plays so good. And once you unlock like the full breadth of the weapons, all of the quickfire, like the sub weapons that you get, where you're quick throwing kunai, multiple kunai, hitting dudes with them. You're busting out a matchlock pistol to finish a dude off. You're chaining assassinations together. You're unlocking different moves with the wolf, where you're walking up to like a bunch of dudes, triggering a standoff. You're playing the shamisen. You and the wolf do a joint standoff where the wolf dives on a guy's throat and you cut some other guy's arm off. That stuff absolutely rules.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't ration it. I mean, they don't necessarily ration it out, but there's an arc to the power set that you get as Atsu, which you could argue mimics her getting more comfortable with like the location itself or making peace with some of her history or whatever it is. But the game, once you start bringing all those different mechanics together and you get used to the control scheme, because there's a lot of like juggling the shoulder buttons to switch to different weapons. You're using different weapons on different enemy types. You're getting used to how to even read enemy movements to make sure that you're getting out the way of unblockables, but you can parry or dodge or whatever. I do think when you bring all that together, and it was always the stuff that I loved from the very beginning. Once you if you focus on that and you have enough of the new abilities, I would say from the Kitsune chapter specifically, that really elevated the rest of it. I actively think the Oni stuff sucks. Like the stories, the specific going up to him stuff. I think that's bad, really, really bad. And the same with that dude that we just mentioned who escapes on the boat in like a couple of seconds. I was like, I can't believe you've done this in the memest sense. But the rest of it is exemplary.
Let me defend the Oni, right? I thought the Oni section kicked ass.
As an area.
As a story as well. Like, I genuinely loved the escalation that it brings to the table. I think the Oni as a character was really interesting. I think it starts to get you to question, because you get to know him quite intimately. Not like that.
No, but I don't even remember doing anything with him.
You go and talk to him in his castle and you have like dinner with him essentially.
Yeah.
And for reasons that I won't explain. But
I forgot this.
I think you forgot this. You do get to know him. And I just think it adds a extra layer to the Yōtei 6. Like the fact that so much time has passed between you starting your revenge story and finally getting to confront them. Like, the Oni is still very powerful. I love how intimidating he is. There's one section where he just throws you out of like this tower, and I'm like, oh, he feels like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises.
That was the exact thing I didn't like.
Aha!
Because that's such a trope of the big muscly dude throws the protagonist because they can't just kill them.
I thought it kicked ass. I thought it was really good. I thought it just worked. Of course, the story's really tropey. I'm not going to say it's the best thing ever. Like I said, I think it's probably one of the weakest parts overall. That's some highlights, but it is probably one of the weakest parts. But yeah, I think it sounds like I enjoyed parts of it that you just did not like outright. Like, I do love the Oni and its area. I would also maybe recommend to not go there first, though, just because of other reasons. I do think generally the way the game is structured, by relying on the player so much, you mentioned there about the power curve. Like, I didn't even get the ability to listen to enemies, to highlight them like through walls, which is a thing you get towards the start of the first game in the first few hours. You get it in The Last of Us. You become expected to have that mechanic, and I don't really like that mechanic, so I wasn't asked that I didn't get it straight away. But I noticed that I unlocked it 40 hours in, and I thought the developers probably wouldn't have intended for me to get like such a basic feature so long into the game, but that was by my design. It was by my choice.
I think it's their design. I think if they made the Kitsune area the first area you go to, then you would get it by default. But they let you do 40 hours, 50 hours, doing other things.
Which I quite like, because I did have that intrinsic motivation. Like, I wanted to kill the Yōtei 6. But I was more just like motivated by being Atsu in this world, like I mentioned, going to the next inn, checking out this area, camping at night, like frying my fish, getting ready, talking to people,
blowing the microphone so you can blow the flames.
Exactly. Stoking the flames of the fire, baby. Like, those just like moment to moment, I am existing as a character in the world. That was the drive for me personally.
That was where I felt like they were taking a slice out of like Rockstar's Red Dead book.
Yeah,
where it's like, because you're camping with your horse, like it is proper. Like, I'm gonna go out into the plains and I'm gonna do a few different things. I'm gonna live in this space, like you said, toast some mushrooms, cut some fish. The game always finds a way, and it gets a bit too gamey in terms of the exact same animation over and over again. But the game will serve you up an NPC to remind you of something else that you want to do, or Atsu will interrogate someone in a combat encounter to like try and get you back on the main path. And it does happen in the exact same way, with the exact same animation every single time. So there is that. There's also, whenever you duel a character, it's the exact same animation, same camera angle, and Atsu's face every time. Those are the things that when I was souring on the story, when I was really just aware of how many bits, it was like this sandbox of like 10 different things that are like assembled in the same order every time, and I think it's easy to see the game like that. Like, it's not like it's some 5-star masterpiece in terms of the Metacritic. It's a lot of 80s, and I feel like it is the best 8 out of 10 game of all time. I would probably give it like a 9 or something, but I can see that argument in terms of just focusing on like, okay, there are X amount of wolf dens, there are bamboo strikes, it's very itemized, which is a very Ubisoft trope, and we dog on that when it comes to Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft.
I think Listen, I think you're right. I just think...
I don't personally have a massive problem with it, but I can see it.
To me, that's not the bulk of the content, and that might sound stupid. It's just, in Ghost of Tsushima, that's all you were doing. Like, it was bamboo strikes, it was fox dens, it was, like, literally the same thing every time. And there's a lot of repetition in Yōtei, but, like, the individual side missions and the individual stories, to me, it's like, it's almost like a tiered system where you've got the main missions, you've got proper side missions, and then you've got activities, is what I would describe the ones that you just mentioned.
It's funny because you saying that is... I have just been going thing to thing to thing, like mopping everything up, because like you talk to the cartographer, he tells you where something is, I make my way towards that thing.
Okay.
I was exploring more naturally at the very beginning. But even those side missions you're mentioning, I don't think I've done a single one of them.
That's fascinating, right? Because I didn't stop using the cartographer because I didn't like him, but like he gives you the wolf dens, he gives you like the altars, like those activity things, and I just kind of thought, I would rather stumble upon them myself and do the side missions along the way. So it's funny that, because I just sacked him off entirely, and I thought I'll go to him when I need to mop up an area, and I'm missing a few things. But for the bulk of it, I was just like, I'm good.
I think that's a better way to play
on my own. So that actually makes a lot of sense. That's crystallized.
Because we're both like choosing different agencies. But I think like I'm choosing to be like, well, I want to specify wolf points because I want to make sure that the wolf can join me in combat or whatever. But just doing freeform exploration, Atomfall style, like that's a really fun way to go as well. In the game, the level is designed in that way. The Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom is, where there's always something on the horizon.
Yeah.
Like when you get to the Kitsune area, there's like a giant flock of birds in the distance, and it's like, I don't know what that is. You can go find that out.
Yeah.
Things like that. But I think in terms of, the game flags on the map, like, hey, you've got 5 maps to find, like from the cartographer. You've got 4 upgrades over here. I didn't ignore that stuff.
It's interesting that, because like. Yeah, it does flag it, but like you've got to buy it. You know what I mean? Like you've got to go to that character to then unlock it on the map.
Yeah, you do.
Which is... it's not a wrong way to play it by any means, but it is interesting because when I was out exploring, if I came across like a wolf den, sometimes I'd just like not do them. Like I'd just be like, I'll come back to this at some point, but I'm not feeling something this bite-sized right now when my original target was something more substantial, if that makes sense.
Well, it's definitely better if you put down a waypoint on the other side of the map. Like most of the main missions are on the other side of the map, and it's like whatever you find on the way there, like that level of that sense of flow, I think is what it does best.
Yeah.
And like it is better to just like stumble upon stuff, but there is that way of itemizing stuff and just like thundering through it as a list of content, which is what Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft go for entirely.
Yeah.
And so like it is avoidable in this, but I think that this conversation is at the heart of why it's not like a 5-star 10 out of 10 in terms of most critics' reviews, even though I do think it has a lot of 5-star qualities to it.
5-star for me, baby. Yeah, nice. It absolutely is. And I thought this in the first few hours because cutscene-wise, to me, it was so confident. It was a step above what we had before from that like kind of cinematic lens. I can't say
shot beautifully,
anything other than like I bloody loved it. I bloody loved it. And I will shout out just the fact that I am a console player, so there are probably games that perform better and look better than this, right? But it's up there alongside the likes of Alan Wake 2, Last of Us Part 2, is maybe the best looking and performing game I've ever played.
Yeah,
it looks
easily.
gorgeous from an art direction perspective. It looks gorgeous from like a pure horsepower, in terms of pure horsepower.
Pardon the pun.
When I've got like HDR on, man, and I'm looking... And I'm playing on the PS5 Pro, so I've got like high resolution, I've got ray tracing. They've just added that update, which gets you like 90 frames per second or something. The fact that it's silky smooth and looks like that, it kind of, maybe this is a bit corp, but kind of single-handedly justified that PS5 Pro purchase for me, because I was playing it and I was just like, yeah.
So you can finally exhale and be like, okay.
This is what it's for.
Yeah, this is someone actually finally got some juice out of this.
Not worth 700 quid for that one game, but I mean, as I already owned the thing, it kind of justified it in hindsight.
Because I'm on balanced ray tracing mode on a standard PS5, but like I think my TV's doing the heavy lifting then, because you can put it on smoothed VRR, which means it tries to maintain the frame rate, so it still plays really well and has ray tracing and looks gorgeous. But yeah, man, overall, it's if you want a gameplay-ass video game with just enough of the Sony sauce in regards to cutscenes and characters, I think this is one of the best ones of them. So that's both of our number threes. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, this is a game... This is why it's entirely subjective. This is a game that I don't think, 1, everyone's going to love, and 2, doesn't consistently hit the levels of quality of a Ghost of Yōtei or a Clair Obscur. You know, it is, as a whole experience, there will be moments that frustrate, there will be moments that just have you screaming like, why have you put this in here? But that balanced with the immense highs I got out of this game,
it's all
more
intentional,
than make it worthwhile. And it's higher than Ghost of Yōtei in spite of that, because I can't not respect the ambition of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it does so many interesting new things that I kind of wanted to champion it as the second best game of the year, because as an RPG, it's so impressive. The amount of agency you have over your character, Henry, in this world, the amount of things you have to think about, like what costume are you wearing to talk to a specific person? Are they of nobility? Are they someone who doesn't respect nobility, who kind of would warm towards a military man, or someone with a bit more gruff, or like is rough around the edges? Like,
have you had a bath?
Have you had a bath? Do you stink? Are you covered in blood? Stuff that you have to think about every day in real life. You got to think about in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's really like, a lot of it is surface level. It's like, okay, I'm going to swap my clothes. I'm going to go to the trough and wash my face. But it all adds up. All of these really small details all add up to make this really immersive experience, driven by the context of whatever scene you're in, whatever town you're in. And it just makes you think about the world as a world and not as a video game space, which, as you can probably tell from the games that I've championed, I love to see. The world itself is massive. There's so many interesting characters in it, so many cool stories. And the emergent gameplay that you get from all of these different systems firing off, just again, kind of Ark Raiders style, leaves you with all of these really personalized situations that someone else probably wouldn't have experienced in their playthrough, or wouldn't have accomplished the same way. Maybe you go on a quest with someone that transforms into your favorite connection in the game and your favorite relationship. Maybe Scott goes out with them and gets annoyed and kills them dead, leaves them for the wolves.
I'm not carrying an NPC's body for hours and hours and hours across an open expanse. In that exact moment, I'm not saying which quest it is, because I just got, that was one of the, because the thing I was going to say, before we'll get into the specifics, is I do think the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is like the single greatest role-playing game, like maybe of the West.
Wow.
Because in terms of, if you really break it down to like, you are embodying a person, like a literal human who is living in this world, everything about the hostility of the world, the fact that you can mess up. Like, I spent way too long just covered in mud, like dying to bandits, barely able to swing a sword, couldn't get myself together at all. And I love that is exactly how someone living in like 1600s Bohemia would have lived, because that world, like, the state of the world at the time wasn't kind to people. It's very easy to stay as a peasant, very hard to climb up the ranks, and you have to tooth and nail claw your way up the ranks in Kingdom Come 2. But then, it means that when you do find some shelter or some room to call your own, or you're sneaking into someone's house and hoping no one's in, so you can actually get some sleep and get a bit more of your energy back, or when you get someone offers you some food, and you actually get to have a few spoonfuls of an actual meal at the very bottom of the rung at the beginning of the game, it feels so worthwhile. And then it's like, you then choose where you want to what you want to specialize in, and you can get really good at the sword combat. You can dance around dudes that were formerly kicking your ass when you were getting ambushed in the forest, to the point where I would go to forests to like not grind, but be like, bring it on. I want to practice in a way that I was living as that character. And then all of that is bolstered by one of the best scripts in gaming history, like easily. And right as we're recording this, it's under consideration for the longest, the biggest game script of all time by the Guinness World Records or whatever. It's that versus Red Dead 2 or Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's has the record right now, but apparently Kingdom Come 2 is being analyzed as to see if it can take the award. And but the writing, it's so funny. It's so darkly funny. It's very aware of its own history kind of thing. And I think Henry's a fantastic character. Lord Capon, Tom Dale?
Luke Dale is Capon. Tom McKay is Henry.
There you go. And those two as a duo are like utterly incredible. So funny, so many little moments where they clearly were riffing off each other in the booth that they then had to go in and animate anyway. I've said quite a lot actually, a few of the games here, really good human qualities. I don't know if it's just because we're in the age of AI that I'm loving humans more, or human qualities and human performances. But like I said, that all comes, is all exemplified by the world that it's in, and the fact that, like I said, the game is not afraid to beat you down in the same way that it would be if you were living in that world. And then you get to the actual main missions and the continuation of where we left off with Henry in Kingdom Come 1. I didn't finish Kingdom Come 2. It was just a bit too long for me. But I did spend 50, 60, 70 hours in it. A lot of it just flailing around trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. I think, like I said, I think it's one of the, if not the purest example of what a role-playing game should be. You are that character. You are that role in that world, figuring things out, and the conversations you can have with anybody. Like you said, it's one hell of an achievement.
It's the closest I've ever got to the first time I experienced Oblivion back in the day, where that just blew my mind in terms of it being this open sandbox. Go do what you want, have the world react, go thieve every house in the city if you want for the Thieves Guild, and just kind of like, again, follow your nose and indulge in the systems. I got that exact feeling with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And again, another one that I didn't expect, because I bounced straight off Kingdom Come 1. Like, I just didn't, I did not like this stuff in Kingdom Come 1. And maybe it's because
it's more refined here.
Henry as a character like starts with more abilities than you do in the first game, where you are like literally the son of a blacksmith and you also don't know anything.
Kingdom Come 1, it's like you try and move a sword and you're gassed. You can't do anything. And if you step off a ledge, you break a leg. Like, there's a lot of that in Kingdom. I was going to mention, actually, because you mentioned that dude that I killed. But I think it's a testament to how believable the world is, that I was like, I wonder what happens if I kill the guy that I'm supposed to be protecting right now. I couldn't be bothered to do the thing it was asking me to do. That was one of the points where I had put up with a lot of BS in the game, like intentional, whatever. But then it wanted me to carry this drunk guy that wouldn't just walk himself to this place, and the place they wanted me to go was across the other end of the map. And I was like, what if I just kill you, to be honest, and loot the bod? And so I did that. And then you told me later, because I had to go back to the family, and be like, oh yeah, I couldn't find him. I can't find that guy that you told me to find. And whereas you were like, no, there's a whole redemption arc attached to that character in regards to alcoholism and doing better. And I think if I'd played it on a different day, whatever stresses were doing the rounds at that particular day, maybe I would have given that guy more of a chance. But the fact that the world still reacts to that is awesome, and it was so believable. I believe that my Henry would have done that at that moment after getting dicked on by the world itself for so long. He's like, I'm stabbing you, mate.
Your Henry sounds like a right bastard.
Yeah.
I will go back to what you said about the comedy, because I think that, games, a lot of things are hard to capture in games. It's hard to get a convincing gameplay loop. It's hard to put together a good story. In my opinion, it's near impossible for a AAA game especially to be funny, to be genuinely funny, not just to be like, I'm smirking at that, for it to be quippy or whatever it is, to be like belly laugh funny in a way that doesn't like... I'm saying like a lot. Break the fourth wall, or draw attention to itself, or make fun of itself, but actually finds humor within the characterization and within the jokes they're making and the situations they find themselves in. Like you said, that little like 1-2 relationship between Henry and Lord Capon is so funny, and it's born out of like. There's like again. I'm getting to the end of the podcast when I just start relying on that word.
Hey, we've been doing a lot of recording.
We certainly have. But the humor is born out of the context which they find themselves in, where Lord Capon is higher in terms of nobility and Henry's supposed to serve him. But Lord Capon is an arse, and he's an arrogant arse, and he doesn't really think things through, and he's making all the wrong decisions. But you're still mates. And Henry is trying to convey to him, saying, mate, I think you've messed up here, but he can't because of the pure context of the time. And if he oversteps, Lord Capon could have him killed, but trying to push that boundary as friends, but try to keep it as like employer and employee, essentially. It's just, there was so much humor found in that context, man.
Yeah, there's also, it exemplifies just how well the game came together between the different departments, like script writing, the art departments, the coding departments, whoever it is, because the comedy itself is accentuated by camera cuts and like different cuts back to facial expressions, or wide shots, or just like hanging for a moment before a reaction happens, or whatever it is. And that speaks to a project that knew exactly what it wanted to be. Like, everyone was like going down the same road. But yeah, man, Kingdom Come 2 is a hell of a shout. My number 2, can you guess what this is?
I actually don't think I can.
Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Oh, of course it is. I forgot we didn't have it.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Come on, explain.
I like a well-greased, engineered thing, a clockwork memechanism of a game that just comes together.
You do like a bacon, Sani, don't you?
I really do. I can't go by sausage or bacon. Bacon's a more slim, sleek
right now I'm going
approach.
Sausage.
Yeah, I've had a lot of sausage sandwiches. I had a 6 sausage sandwich the other day because I asked for extra, and I'm a regular in my local sausage sandwich place.
6.
She gave me extra.
That's insane.
It is a bit. I had to split it with my own son to get through it, but it was a nice time. Anyway, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, the rebirth of Ninja Gaiden across 2025. You've got Ninja Gaiden Black, you've got Ninja Gaiden 4, and Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. I feel like Ragebound is the one that is overlooked compared to the other two, mainly because it is a 2D, action platformer, but it is an incredibly deeply satisfying one, made by the developers behind Blasphemous, which you can tell because occasionally there's over-the-top gore when you just cut a dude's torso in half, and it's awesome. I always mention music, but Ninja Gaiden Ragebound's music is absolutely thumping and massively powers you, just blitzing through these levels, chaining these different kills together. One of the only other mechanics that it has, other than the run and slash and platforming stuff, is you'll get certain enemies that glow with different auras. They are either pink or blue, and it means you have to take them out with either a melee hit or a ranged attack. That will then charge the very next move that you do. So you then start chaining together. Like, okay, I'm going to throw a kunai at that dude over there, so it hits him to charge my blade against the move. Then the next guy that I'm going to chop in half or whatever, which they then make really good use of in some of the boss fights, which are some of the best boss fights of like the decade so far. The final boss in this is so like unrelenting, but in this really precise, like, okay, give me one more chance, I can do it kind of way. And every time I would go to a new boss in this, because the checkpointing is so forgiving, like you're just right there on the fight again. You're at the checkpoint just before you go through the door. So you can leave and do some more side missions, get more charms, more talismans to put on your character if you want. But because it's just that beautiful one more chance energy, which I love about games so much, it's so easy to just jump back in and be like, okay, I can do it. And so I just think it's fantastic. There are aspects of the tone and the writing that are a little bit too modern. Mm-hmm. We just talked about like how some of the comedy can be a little bit cringe when it's a little bit too Disneyfied or sterile, or you're going down that standard quippy route, which is it's so many different properties do. There's not very much of it, but there's a little bit of it in here where I was like, I don't think the old school ninjas would talk like this, but sure. But still, it's gameplay is king as always, and this is like one of the best playing games of the year. I was going to say the best playing game of the year, easily the best 2D playing game of the year.
Right.
But yeah, I loved all the side missions. That's where they really cranked the platforming gauntlet stuff. So I would recommend it through the brutality of the platforming lens, but I would also recommend it just as a goddamn solid 2D action platformer. Yeah, man, unbelievably solid.
Another one like Dispatch where I just need to play this game. It might be a December treat. As a huge Ninja Gaiden fan, as a huge Blasphemous fan, I wish I played this instead of Ninja Gaiden 4, truth be told, but I didn't. So the fact that it's number 2 on your list, I think, speaks volumes, because I knew you were high on it, but I didn't know which one you necessarily preferred out of this and Shinobi, and I definitely didn't expect to see this number 2. So
I think Shinobi, like it is funny because they both came out at almost the same time. Yeah. So at the time I was juggling the two of them, and then Gaiden was the one that I finished first. Shinobi, I personally prefer that art style because it is so inky and expressive, and I love just what it means for Shinobi history being rebooted like that. But Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is a more straightforward, like hyper detailed pixel art style, like what the devs did with Blasphemous. Motion Twin, I think, of the devs. And so it's that, but it's the gameplay. It's just it feels like, you know, with 2D games, you can crank certain knobs and you can make
I beg your pardon.
The bloobs. You can get a hold of certain knobs, you can tweak stuff, you can refine stuff in a way that makes it's harder to do that in 3D, to have like a completely 100% satisfying gameplay loop, whereas in 2D it's like, no, we will get pixel precise and we will make it exactly what it should play like. So that's my number 2.
Didn't hear anything you said after grabbing some knobs.
There's a pair of bloobs, mate, to be honest.
Breasts, fart jokes.
Very good.
Very good. Number 1. Serious again.
I know what this is.
Death Stranding 2.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think we both would have guessed our respective top ones. They may turn up, who knows, in the Games of the Generation podcast that's going to release in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, Death Stranding 2, again, like Hollow Knight, is a game that I had such high expectations for. It was following up one of my favorite games of all time, and I was really wondering if they were going to be able to repeat the success and the magic of the first Death Stranding for me again. And even across the first few hours, I wasn't sure if they were going to get there. They made changes to the gameplay that made it a little bit more accessible, that opened things up, made it more forgiving, which got a lot more people to play it, but meant that I kind of like lost the friction that I enjoyed so much. That thankfully went by the wayside after those first few hours, and the way that it adds to the gameplay systems in the first game just make it such a moreish experience to keep delivering these packages across this lush, desolate version of Australia.
Yeah.
Like getting involved with a bunch of weird and quirky characters along the way, helping them out, evolving their stories. There's a thread with a pizza guy that is just so fun, and I loved, and it culminates in like a set piece that is just mad, and I was not expecting it all. Then you add on the story on top of that, and
we keep having these moments where you mention something, I'm like, oh yeah, that was exactly when I tapped out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hold this package at this elevation, this angle, and I'm like, no, I won't.
That's the good stuff, brother. That's what they need more of. You need more of those specific conditions, otherwise the game gets stale, Scott. Give me more harder deliveries. More harder doesn't make sense. Give me harder deliveries. But yeah, then you got the story on top of that, which is mad. And like the first game, doesn't entirely work. Has some moments of absolute insanity that can be great, but also cannot be great whatsoever. But again, talking about memorable moments, sequences that I won't forget. The final 5 hours of Death Stranding 2 just had such a smile on my face while I was watching it. It goes to places that are absolutely ridiculous, yet somehow work. And it's not me being a Kojima apologist. I don't love sometimes when he does this stuff. I have a lot of issues with Metal Gear Solid 4, for instance, for similar reasons. For whatever reason, though, it just clicked here with Death Stranding 2, and that wildness, the callbacks that he often makes, the similar themes that constantly pop up, the left field genre shifts, it all worked and just made for an incredibly satisfying final act where everything comes to a head. You get like full circle storylines from Death Stranding 1. You get some genuinely good performances and some unbelievable motion capture.
Yes.
Like I said with Ghost of Yōtei, I don't think it's my favorite overall game in terms of aesthetics and visuals, but the mocap is next level. Like the detail on the characters' faces, like that side by side of Norman Reedus from the first game to the second game. Like everyone has that level of fidelity in this title when it comes to the cutscenes, and it's so mesmerizing at times. And then it just has, even outside of that, from a gameplay perspective, some of my favorite moments of the year. Just emergent situations where the weather system and the actual mission design and the mechanics all come together to create, again, that sense of personalization. I've gone up this mountain and I've rescued this person, and the sun has set at the exact right time to create this picturesque sequence where everything just comes together to form like a magic moment. That happens so often in Death Stranding 2. And on that basis alone, it probably would have been my favorite game of the year. But then you throw in the story stuff on top, and it's like, okay, I have no other choice.
It's so crazy because I don't know what the last main mission was that I did, but it was one of those games where, I mean, we should the visual side of it is unbelievable. Like it really is. It's lifelike stuff, especially on, like I said, the motion capture side. But yeah, like my thing was I liked all the connecting the world stuff in Death Stranding 1. Like you're fundamentally forging a path from place to place to place, connecting those roads up bit by bit by bit. I feel like DS2, the reason I dropped off it was because I felt like it was relying too much on the vehicles, and the roads were already built and I was just going back and forward. But you can't deny the ambition of it and like how evocative everything is. Like the imagery is so evocative. It was one of those games where I was like, this is so incredibly well made, but it's not for me anymore.
No, I get that.
And I'm going to give it another shot because I've re-downloaded it. Because coming out of, after we played Metal Gear Solid 2 and coming out of MGS2, I was like, I've already read spoilers for DS2, so I was like, that's weird that you kind of picked up a conversation you were having in Metal Gear Solid 2. I kind of want to see what that is again. And but you can't deny the gameplay systems, like the feel. Like I love that he's managed, Kojima and the rest of Kojima Productions have managed to replicate where they left off in MGS5. Like there's so much phantom pain in Death Stranding 2. Like enemy encampments and the way that I was going to say Sam runs, where it just has that almost arcadey speed to him, the way that the boss runs in Phantom Pain. And like it's a lot of that where there's a lot more Metal Gear in here. And you could feel him getting the itch in the director's cut for Death Stranding 1, but there's a lot of Metal Gear playability in this. And so I like a lot of the gameplay other than whenever it feels like there's a reliance on the vehicles, and I really hate the vehicle physics because they're non-existent.
No, not this again.
Terrible, horrible. But the vast majority of the stuff is executed extremely well, and so it was one of those where it just wasn't for me, but I can hugely appreciate it. And I'll probably, because it's me, come back next year and say it should have been my game.
Maybe you'll Ghost of Yōtei. Who
maybe
knows? You might come to reappreciate it. I don't think you will, but you might do.
It's that thing that Kojima just does now, where he did it from MGS5 onwards, where he's like, now this guy's made a fire, now this guy came back from the dead, now this guy's doing this, and you can point to things in the past like Vamp's resurrection in MGS2. But I feel like he really started doing that in 5 onwards. Where now in Death Stranding, it's like, this person can reach inside someone. Why? Just because.
There's reasons.
It's the Dooms level.
There's Dooms.
It's just nanomachines. It's just It's just midichlorians all over again.
It's better than those things. He's always been mad in that way.
He's always been mad, but he used to at least care about like telling you how someone can do something. Now it's just a Dooms level.
No, he's the thing. No, I disagree. I'm gonna put my foot down. I'm gonna put my big horrible foot down on the table. And I'm going to disagree with you there because I do think everything is explained almost too much.
Really?
I think I mentioned this when we talked about the ending, and that in the first game, like a lot of stuff was quite confusing towards the end.
Yes.
I do think they explained it, but kind of poorly.
Yeah.
Here, I'm like, you might have could have done with less explanation.
But there's a whole, I mean, it would be a spoiler. There's a visual involving a baby's head towards the end of Death Stranding 2, a large one.
Oh, yeah.
Most people go, what the hell is that?
Oh, yeah, but it's if you like dive into like the logs and what characters are saying and stuff, like it's not in the scene where it's explained,
Right.
but
It's out there.
A lot of it is passable. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
good.
Like when I was doing the ended explained video, plug, if you want to go and watch that. I felt like I was surprised at how coherent it was, where I thought this is going to be a nightmare because I'm not even going to understand it. But when I was going through it beat by beat, there was only really that one scene that you mentioned where it was more interpretive, whereas everything else is like, oh, it's explaining this log, or it's explaining that cutscene.
The thing is,
it's confusing, but it's better than nanomachines and MGS4 in my opinion.
Because Kojima definitely has a vision for Death Stranding, and he's trying to make the thematics massively distinct from Metal Gear.
Yeah.
But then he also can't help himself because I think he loves the way Metal Gear plays.
Yeah.
And so you get that stealth action focus again, which is awesome. Death Stranding 2, one of the best playing games of the year by far, and absolutely looks incredible. My number one, clearly, obviously, always has been since day one, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. There are a few things more satisfying on this earth. We've already done a massive spoiler cast for it, so I'll not spend too long talking about it. I also feel like we're at like breaking point with Clair Obscur.
Do you think?
Because in terms of coverage, because it, not for what culture, but it's like it is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It is winning Game of the Year left, right, and center. It even is up for like best indie game as well at the Game Awards, and it's up for the best game of the year. And I don't think the quality can be denied. I just had an unbelievable time. And if we're talking about subjectivity, the game came along at a perfect time in my life where I was taking my mental health break from work, and I just needed a few months to put my brain back together. And without getting into specifics, there are a lot of thematics and specific parts of the text in Clair Obscur that are about therapeutic mentalities and taking your time and when should you power yourself to get out of that space, and when is it okay to move on, etc. And I got a lot out of that to the point where I got a tattoo because I was like, man, this is hitting me a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was a right place, right time thing for me personally, but the quality is there regardless, hence why there are so many nominations across the industry. And I do think that it's a shot in the arm for JRPGs. Like, I think it's such a modernization of JRPG combat, mixed with some of the best performances of the year. Like, we've seen awards being handed out to Jennifer English, Ben Starr as Mayel, and Verzo. And you've also got Andy Serkis, who I think is being overlooked in the performance
really
category.
overlooked, yeah.
Dude's incredible. And then you obviously have Esquier as well, the fun, lovable, flyable companion, who I think is a really fun character. But yeah, whether it's the art style, the variety and the levels, the biomes, the more underwater levels that you get to, mixed with Lorient Testard's score, which is in itself like this modern day like orchestral masterpiece out of nowhere. Alice Duportier's singing is absolutely incredible. Like, yeah, there's one of those I can't find a flaw. Like, if I have to, it's the facial animation every now and then. But the vast majority is pure magic, like making me feel from front to back. I could not get enough of it. I didn't want to turn it off. Like, I didn't want it to end. And I haven't had that feeling maybe ever in a game where I was like, I just want to stay here. Please don't make me leave.
Which is
entirely
funny,
the whole
isn't
point.
it? Yeah.
And so, yeah, on that level, it invented a whole new level of meaning to me. Like, as I was playing it, it really was something special.
Yeah. I mean,
Easily my best one.
I can totally see why. I absolutely can see why. And I want to go back to what you said there about it being like a shot in the arm. In my opinion, if Square Enix doesn't look at this and say, "Oh, I think we need to make Final Fantasy 17,"
they've picked up the Final Fantasy plans and thrown them out the window.
Exactly. Like they've just got to. What are you doing if you don't? Again, I shouldn't really advocate for just ripping things off, but you need to rip this off
learn
kind
something
of
from it,
because it just brings so many cool ideas to the table. It's such a confident game, like I mentioned earlier, like the swings that it takes, the passion that's clearly at the heart of it. I sadly didn't emotionally connect with it as much as you and many others did, but I can totally see why you did, because it's so thematically rich, it's so full of character, it's so well written overall, and certainly well performed and evocative, like you mentioned, when you bring in the music as well, just allow you to indulge in those emotions. Great game. Great game.
Great game and a great year. We should run down 10 through 1, the best games of 2025. Number 10, Pokemon ZA. Number 9, Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Number 8, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Number 7, Silent Hill F. Number 6, Mafia the Old Country. Number 5, Shotgun Cop Man. Number 4, Dispatch. Number 3, Ghost of Yōtei. Number 2, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. And number 1, Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Some great games there,
It's
mate.
a good year for the genres.
You've done really well.
I know, thank you.
10 to 1, 1,000 Times Resist at number 10. Number 9, Atomfall. Number 8, Chronos New Dawn. Number 7, Arc Raiders. Number 6, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Number 5, Hollow Knight Silksong. Number 4, Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Number 3, Ghost of Yōtei. Number 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And number 1, Death Stranding 2 on
Combine
the beach.
those lists together and you have the best experiences you can find in the video game medium. And that has been the end of 2025's best games of the year. I don't think anything else is coming out. Isn't that Metroid Prime 4 or maybe the Skate Story?
Skate Story.
We might invert this entire list going forward. We will do some sort of games you missed in 2026 style video. For now, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed myself and Josh go at it for the last, what has it been, 5 hours?
I have no idea. It feels like weeks, my friend.
We've been living in this room for quite a considerable amount of time, but let us know your own games of the year down in the comments below, and take care of yourselves as you go into the Christmas period. Ta-ta!
You missed the NordVPN read.
Oh, every time!